What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Hybrid Network and yet another Dragon Ball Super discussion. And man, oh man, was last week ablaze. The internet literally exploded as we got one of our first sneak peeks at the upcoming Universal Survival arc, which showed returning characters like Kaba as well as a female fire that could access the legendary Super Saiyan transformation, a form that was previously tied exclusively to the movie villain Broly. However, that's not what I found the most interesting. Amidst the hype for the not-so-subtle nods of Broly, we got our first glimpse at the other gods of destruction from the other universes. Now as it stands, we don't know of all 12 other gods, for at the moment, we've only seen 10 of them. But what we've got here is still interesting enough that I wanted to break down each and every one of the gods that we know about so far. So without further ado, let's get started. To get the obvious ones out of the way, we already know extensively about the twin brothers Beerus and Champa, who act as the gods of destructions for universes 7 and 6 respectively. Both seem to belong to the same race of creature, but it's worth noting their designs. Many individuals took notice of Beerus' Egyptian-inspired clothing and design when he was first revealed, and so it's no surprise to anyone it can be inferred that these two gods are based around Egyptian deities, particularly the goddess Sekhmet. For those of you that don't know, Sekhmet was a Felid, being that she had the head of a lion and the body of a human, and she was most notably regarded as the goddess of vengeance and divine punishment, which is probably where Beerus and Champa's penchant for destruction comes from. You know, when they're not snacking away. Now, to get into some of the newer characters. Our first God of Destruction is one that was introduced in Dragon Ball Park Monthly, where they were showcased alongside new pictures of Android 17 and 18. Here we see two individuals that look notably dour when compared to their counterparts in the other universes, in particular with the Angel having a serious scowl adorning his face. The god himself has no name, and we don't actually know what universe he hails from, but his design seems to have taken some rather Tolkien inspiration. His squat stature and red, bushy facial hair seem very reminiscent of dwarves, which could also be where the sour look is lifted from as well, because, well, dwarves aren't known to have the most patience of tempers. Next up we have something. In all honesty, I actually don't have any idea what this thing is supposed to be. It basically looks like a furball to me, and I have no point of reference as to what it could be based off of. If any of you in the comments have any idea, please let me know, because seriously, I'm drawing a blank on this guy. Anyway, we see in addition to a rather robust Angel, this god is accompanied by his respective Kaioshin, taking on a pink hue and looking remarkably like Universe 7's Supreme Kai, though this might just be the similarity between the Kaioshin characters. Next up, we have a female god of destruction who takes on an Egyptian design, one that I can only assume is based on one of the female pharaohs. The headdress leads me to guess that her design is based on Nefertiti, the wife of the pharaoh Akhenaton. The respective Kaioshin seems to be getting on in his elder years, whereas the angel that accompanies her seems to be of the pretty boy variety. Although, who am I kidding? All the male angels are pretty boys, am I right? Come on. Next, we have some sort of Colossus-type god, and I can't actually put my finger on what he's supposedly based on. My first inclination was maybe a golem from Hebrew theology, though I can't actually say for certain based on the low quality of the picture, which is why, unfortunately, I can't go into too much detail on his respective Kaioshin and Angel. Just know they're smaller than him, at the very least. After this, we come to something small. Again, I'm sorry about the quality, guys, but this guy is just way too far to get an accurate idea of what they look like. It's just that they seem to be extremely small compared to their Kaioshin and Angel, so most likely it's playing on the trope of big things in small packages. Next up is Elephant Man! Yes, this guy so far is my favorite, mostly because when I first saw him, he reminded me immediately of Dumbo. But, upon closer examination, he also reminds me of a Hindu deity by the name of Ganesha, the Lord of Obstacles. Essentially, Ganesha was responsible for removing or placing new obstacles in the path of the individual that needed to be checked. Perhaps here the removal of obstacles is equated to the destruction of planets. What's interesting about this is that it appears this god's Kaioshin is Gawasu, so this could be an indicator that this is actually the god of destruction of Universe 10, in which case, they got a pretty cool one. Next up, we've got a fox god, and this is the one that actually interested me a lot. Looking into it, I believe that this character is based on the Kitsune, which literally means fox, from Japanese folklore. Typically, the Kitsune are depicted as wise beings with magical properties, and most notably act as messengers for Inare, a Shinto kami. If I'm butchering that, guys, Please go easy on me, I'm not the best with pronunciation of foreign names. What leads me to speculate this, however, comes from the fact that this god has at least 2 tails. You see, the power and wisdom of the Kitsune is most notably shown through how many tails that they have, which can be up to 9 at any time. And if that sounds familiar, well, just keep in mind that foxes are pretty popular within the Shinto religion. And finally, we arrive at the one everyone keeps talking about, the clown. Yes, his angel has pigtails, and yes, I'm sure it's a big coincidence and nothing more. Anyway, the design for this guy seems pretty straightforward. He's a clown. But I saw a pretty interesting theory regarding his design, and I thought I'd at least talk about it. You see, clowns are entertaining, funny, and in some cases they're seen as tricksters, wherein they perform feats that dazzle the mind with how they disorient and confuse. So, the theory, based on all this, infers that this character's design might be inspired by, well, the Norse god Loki. No, not that Loki, the actual Loki. Loki is deemed as a trickster god based on our understanding of the Norse mythology, and as such he is able to shapeshift into a variety of forms, which could explain the clown appearance as simply being one of the many forms he takes on. Again, it's a stretch, but who knows exactly what this guy's deal is. And that actually rounds out all of the gods of destruction that we've seen so far. There's sure to be some interesting dynamics as we enter into the Universal Survival arc, and I'm sure more info about these characters will drop by then. What do you guys think about all these new gods of destruction, and are you excited about the upcoming Universal Survival arc? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Hybrid Network for more content much like this. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next time on the next Dragon Ball Super Discussion.